Everybody gets a benefit out of those roads. Whether you don't even own a car, you get a benefit of the road. The infrastructure, the utility vehicles that have to go, the emergency vehicles, the ambulance trying to get to your house if you're sick. So it's a big issue, but somehow we have to come to a solution.
I've heard from a number of people that have serious concerns about our conditions. I've spoke with business people in our community who are worried that it's going to impact tourism in our county. And something that I've heard more about is tort claims coming in where people are actually filing notice they may sue the county because of damage to their vehicles on our county roads.
I think the condition of the roads in an area have a big impact on whether your community grows or is stagnant or even goes backward.
Tillamook County is a unique community. We have over 300 miles of paved roads. We've got about another 100 miles of gravel roads. In addition to that, we've got 96 bridges. We've got over 3,000 culverts, 9 miles of guardrail. We've got several levees. Tillamook County has had more federally declared storms in the last 10 years than any other county on the West Coast. And what that means is that we struggle trying to make things safe for the traveling public instead of focusing on the routine maintenance that we should be doing. Water is one of the biggest challenges that we get here in Tillamook County.
I'm Harold Shield, and my father originally came to Tillamook in 1894 and settled out in Pleasant Valley. And each year, in order to pay the taxes, each farm was obligated to devote a certain amount of time to working on the roads in your area. They had to spend a week a year with a team and a wagon hauling gravel from the rivers up onto the road and improving the road. And each year they did that, and that paid their annual taxes on their property, and the community progressed.
When I started in the late 70s, the road department had their own hot plant, and they had their own rock crusher, and they had a lot more people to do the work. Early 1980 is when things started tightening up, and by, I'd say 1982, they had reduced their forces quite a bit. Because of the number of people that we had available, I think we did a lot more patching and overlays. And as time went on, as you start to get into the 1990s, that ability just kind of went away. So all of a sudden you're picking and choosing, and the roads are reflecting that greatly.
I've lived in Tillamook all my life, been operating a milk hauling business since 1981 on county roads, specifically from the dairy farms to the cheese factory. The biggest thing that we have noticed is the suspensions on the vehicles, kingpins, tie rod ends, your bushings on your springs and all undercarriage of the trucks and trailers. That cost has tripled. We're seeing milk trucks come in that you didn't have to do bushings for a couple of years. Now we're doing them every 8 months or so. We're easily spending $12,000 to $15,000 a year more on suspensions than we were 5 years ago.
This is my 25th year at the Tillamook County Sheriff's Office, so I've traveled these roads a lot, and I've seen the conditions of these roads deteriorate, the devastating impacts it's had not only on people visiting in our community and living in our community, but our public safety vehicles that have traveled down this road. We've had a number of accidents that have been attributed to these roads. You know, that's so frequent now. In many cases, I have had deputies that are responding to emergency calls, and they will hit a very deep pothole, and in at least 2 instances have broken more than one wheel on the vehicle in a response. And if a deputy or any public safety officer can't get to the scene, there's a life safety issue there.
The Roads Department is funded from 2 sources. State funds, which is gas tax, vehicle registration fees. The second is federal safety net legislation. The money that we receive goes to specific areas, and by law, it can only go to specific areas. We receive money from the gas tax revenue from the state of Oregon, and that money can only be used for roads. Conversely, Property taxes by law cannot be used for funding roads. The federal safety net legislation gives us some money in lieu of that federal timber harvest that we can use to fund roads. The problem with that is those dollars are gradually going away. And in fact, in 2012, they go to zero. So we're headed for a major train wreck with our county road system.
In the 80s, the road department was actually quite well funded. You had a lot of good timber revenue coming in. Then when the spotted owl was listed, they really cut down timber revenues, and we lost about 92%. By the year 2012, when we lose our federal forest dollars, we will have a maintenance budget of about $2 million. So we've gone in 4 years from a staff of 31, we'll be down to about 17 people.
In the last 10 years, Tillamook County has had 2 elections before the voters, both of which failed. And following the last one in 2008, a group was formed called the Tillamook County Citizens for Sustainable Roads. One of the overarching principles of our group was we really need to solve our own problems. People in Tillamook County have been doing that for a good long time. We looked at weight mile charges for trucks, and that's currently in place and has recently been increased, and it wouldn't raise a whole lot of money. We've looked at gas taxes, and that really can't be done locally for 4 years after the legislature took that option away. We've looked at development fees. That's a one-time fee, and if development is not active, then there's no money. We also looked at lodging tax. That does not provide very much money and does not solve the problems. We also looked at a motor vehicle tax, and that can't be increased again for 4 years, and it also doesn't generate a lot of money. So it really came down to either a local option tax or a property tax in support of a bond measure. The bond measure we intend to place on the ballot. It would be a $15 million bond measure. It would be repaid by all the real property taxpayers of Tillamook County over a period of 10 years. The rate would be about 54 cents per $1,000 of assessed valuation. So if your property is assessed at $100,000, the taxes will be about $54 per year for the next 10 years. If they're successful, the county has $15 million and can go forward starting a 3-year program to repair the worst of our worst roads.
If the roads were to continue to deteriorate, I think that there's going to be more public safety vehicles that become decommissioned, and it's going to slow response times for emergencies. Also, I think we're going to see more and more people who are involved in traffic accidents because of the condition of the roads.
As the economy recovers, we want to keep the community going forward, and you can't bring new business to the community when there's no roads and no good infrastructure.
I don't like to pay taxes any more than the next person does, but that's the way that our society has determined to support itself and maintain its quality of life. And if an increase in taxes is required, I guess that's what it's going to take to maintain our quality of life.
If you look back over the last 12 or 15 years in Tillamook County, our taxpayers and citizens have been quite generous. All 3 school districts have received money from the taxpayers. We've had a hospital bond passed, we have a new jail, we have a new library. So I think the citizens of Tillamook County, when they hear a compelling case, they support it, and history demonstrates that.